Hi, everybody. I'm Pratibha Agarwal. I'm an immigration attorney. I am based right outside of Washington, D.C., excuse me, in Arlington, Virginia, but I represent clients all throughout the United States, even clients worldwide. And that's because if you're wondering, if you've worked with lawyers in the past, lawyers generally need to be admitted in the state that they represent where the work is pretty much, right? But immigration is considered a federal practice. So that means no matter where in the US you are located, our firm can help you. We can submit your immigration application. We can prepare you for interviews. We can even attend the interview with you. So if you would like to work with us, if you want to have a consultation, I would suggest calling our firm, scheduling a consultation. And we handle all types of immigration cases. So if you're just joining, I'm streaming live on both Facebook and on TikTok. It looks like there's a slight delay here on TikTok. But either way, our handle on both is at Agarwal Immigration. So it's the same thing on both Facebook and on TikTok, and the handle is at Agarwal Immigration. Okay, so feel free to join me on either platform. And if you want to be notified on when we go live, you can either follow us on TikTok or like us on Facebook. If you can do both, you should do both, because then you can you can get notified every single time I go live. All right, so great. So as an overview, if you're joining us for the first time, if you're joining me for the first time today, I am an immigration attorney. I'm based outside of Washington, D.C. in Arlington, Virginia, but our clients are all throughout the United States. So we can help you no matter where you are located. And our firm handles all types of immigration issues. So we handle business immigration, where companies are sponsoring people for different types of green cards and temporary visas like H-1Bs. We do that pretty often. If you got selected in the H-1B lottery and you're looking for a firm to help you help your company file that application, we do that very often. You definitely reach out to us on that. We also help individuals and families sponsor family members abroad, sponsor family members that might be here in the U.S. So we pretty much handle all types of immigration cases. If we can help you with your immigration matter, definitely give us a call. Again, my name is Pratibha Agarwal. I'm an immigration attorney, and I actually don't do anything other than immigration. I only do U.S. immigration law. So we should be able to help you if you want to give us a call and schedule a consult. Okay, and the way to do that is to call our phone number 703-348-1663. For my friends on TikTok, I don't know if it's posted. I don't know if it's visible. It's 703-348-1663. You can call. The way I'm doing consults right now is through Zoom or by phone. So either way, whatever works for you, you can schedule one, and I'll be happy. It'll be like this. So if you do Zoom, that is my preference, because I can share documents with you that way. So I can share an outline with you. I can share, the quote for the services, and you can see everything. We also do it by phone. I would just email you the documents if you have access to it. You can look at it at the same time that I'm talking with you. But either way, I prefer Zoom because I feel like, it's more of a connection. No matter where you're located, we can do Zoom. So we'll send you a link when you book, and you'll be able to log on and we can chat together kind of like this. So I'm here today to answer your immigration questions, right? So any kind of immigration question that you have, go ahead and put it in there, and I'll do my best to answer it. This is just information. It's not legal advice. To create an attorney-client relationship, we're going to need to schedule a consultation. So obviously take this with a grain of salt, because I would need probably more information to get into your case. But if you have those one-off questions, so some of our clients call, or many people call our office, and they just have one question here or one question there. This is the opportunity to ask that one question. Okay, so go ahead and I'll give you the most complete answer that I can. But just know that, if it's more detailed, I need to get more in depth, I will likely need to schedule a consultation. All right. Okay, great. So go ahead and type them in. I'll also go over some things that come up in my practice that might be relevant to you or somebody that might be helpful. So I'll go over that as well. Okay. All right. Hi, Hardat. Hardat is saying, hi, good day. How are you? I'm doing well, Hardat. I'm so glad that you joined. Hi, Del. Hi, Reena. Hi, Anya. Hi, Romaj. Hi, Malkeith. Hi, VSK. Gopi. Sexy love. Wow. Hi. Hi, Preet from Ludhiana. Hi, Gaurav. Hi, Heart Sweet. Hi, Ramil. Hi, Reena. Hi, Ariane says hello. How are you? So go ahead and put your questions in, guys. You can do it on Facebook or TikTok. I'm seeing both of them. But I can start going through some of my questions right now, which I think will be helpful to some of you here. But whatever you have, feel free to put it in there, and I'll do my best to respond. Just as a heads up, as an overview, again, I handle all types of immigration cases. I'm based outside of Washington, D.C., but we represent clients no matter where they are in the world. So go ahead and, ask this is your opportunity to really take advantage and ask those questions. All right. So one of the questions that I get pretty often with my clients is people that are married to U.S. citizens or green card holders, and they want to get a divorce. Like their marriage is so bad that they want to get a divorce, but they either are entered without status, or they came in like on a tourist visa, or use somebody else's document, right, to come in, and they no longer have status in the U.S. So if you're married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder and you want to get divorced, right, your marriage is so bad that you want to get divorced, and you're only staying in this marriage because you're nervous about getting deported, or maybe even your spouse is threatening to have you deported. So you're nervous about that. So most people don't know about this, and this is really a huge, huge benefit for people in this exact situation, right? So people that are, miserable in their marriage, and are having, many issues with their spouse, and the only reason they're staying in this marriage is because they are afraid of getting deported, or afraid that their spouse will get them deported. So there is an avenue for people in this exact situation. It's called a VAWA I-360 self-petition. So it can be for men, it can be for women. But if you're married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, you can petition on your own without your spouse. So even if you are divorced, if your divorce was less than 2 years ago, you can still apply for yourself. So this is, if you're wondering, it's a green card application. Okay, it's a green card application. So that's great, right? If you can benefit, if you can qualify for a green card, and you're out of status, or you entered illegally, it is a huge, huge benefit, right? So this is for people that are married to a U.S. citizen or green card holder. Their marriage is not good. It's not going well. And the only reason they're staying in this marriage is because they're out of status, and they're nervous about what to do, or their spouse is threatening to have them deported. So many different people qualify in different ways for this. But this is, something that you should definitely consider. Okay. So the first thing is we apply for the green card. It takes us a couple of weeks to get the application and everything together. You would get a work permit in about 6 to 8 months, and you would get a green card in about 2 to 2.5 years. All right. So again, if you're in a difficult marriage, if you're in a bad marriage, if your spouse is a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, you may be able to do this completely without them. So they wouldn't even need to know. We've had clients that, have said, please, can I do this without involving my U.S. citizen, my green card holder spouse? Yes, you can do it completely on your own without your spouse. It remains completely confidential. You don't have to be divorced to do it. So, this is really a way to benefit and get status for yourself if you're in this situation. Okay. So if you or someone you know is in this situation, call us. We're at 703-348-1663. I got some questions coming in here. Rena says hi. I think I said hi already. Ram Gill says, my asylum case, a removal order. Now I'm married to a green card holder. My son is 5 years old and a citizen. Can I adjust without leaving? So it might be possible for you to do a green card without having to leave the U.S. So if you have a removal order, right, and your asylum case was denied, so many people are in court, they have a removal order. If you haven't yet left, you may be eligible to apply for your green card to adjust your status in the U.S. without having to leave, Ram. Okay, so I would definitely call us to make sure that we can screen you to see if you're eligible. If you are eligible, the whole thing happens right here in the U.S. So you do not have to leave, if you're eligible. Again, call us for a consultation so we can screen you and make sure that you're eligible. But if you are, what happens is we file your application. You will get work authorization separately. So if your asylum case is denied, you're going to need a work permit, most likely. So you would get work permit in about 6 to 8 months, and you would get a green card in about 2 to 2.5 years. So if you're married to a green card holder, it is possible in some cases to adjust your status right here in the U.S. without having to leave. Right? And you have a son that's 5 years old, so you should certainly take advantage of that if you are eligible. So call us. We're at 703-348-1663. Hi, Jay. Hi, Monica. Hi, Remy. Let's see. Hi, Roma says, my case is going on for 4 years now, but during halfway during the process, I came to the U.S. and stayed, and then I applied for a waiver. Roma, I'm not sure your question. So sorry, hold on a second. I'm still waiting for the waiver to be approved so I can go back to my country. Okay, so Roma is saying, all right, so Roma applied for a green card. It looks like she's either married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder. Maybe she entered illegally, or maybe, she was married to a green card holder and fell out of status. Maybe she entered on she or he entered on like a tourist visa or entered illegally and is now married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, or maybe even you have a child who's 21 or over and a U.S. citizen, right? So there are many ways to apply for a green card if you're in. So Roma just clarified. She said she entered on a tourist visa. So maybe you're married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, or maybe you have a U.S. citizen child who is 21 or over who's applying for your green card. Okay, that's what I'm guessing just based on your question. So I could be wrong. Roma, clarify and let me know if I'm wrong, but I could be, that is my assumption. So she applied for her green card. There are two ways to do it. If you had an illegal entry or if you came in on a tourist visa and you're married to a green card holder. Exactly. Okay, so she entered on a tourist visa and she's married to a green card holder. All right, she entered on a tourist visa. So when you enter on a tourist visa, you only get status for 6 months. It's really the maximum that they will let you be in the U.S. lawfully, right? But when you marry a green card holder and you apply for a green card, you need to be in status. So if you fell out of status and you're married to a green card holder, if you fell out of status and you're married to a green card holder, then it becomes problematic because you can't, even though you're married to a green card holder, you can't get a green card while staying in the U.S. And it's risky, it's scary to leave the United States to process your green card because you don't know if you'll be barred from re-entering because you've been out of status for however long. So the real benefit is to try to do the whole thing right here in the U.S. without having to leave. That is, the goal. Some people aren't eligible to do it that way, all right? But Roma, it is possible that you might be able to do a separate application where you can adjust your status completely in the U.S. without having to leave. So that whole thing takes between 2 to 2.5 years, and you also get work authorization in about 6 months. So you may or may not qualify. I don't know. You have to call for a consultation because we need to ask you some questions. But if you do qualify, we'll be able to process your green card right here in the United States. You would qualify for work authorization 6 to 8 months. And the whole green card would be approved. The time frame for that is between 2 to 2.5 years. So if we can help you, give us a call. I would love to chat with you more to see if you qualify. And if you do, then you don't have to worry about this waiver or anything because the waiver takes a really long, it can take a really long time and you still have the risk of leaving the U.S. Sometimes that is the only way to do the case. And that's fine too, but it can take a really long time. So what we want to do is try to see if there's a way for you to process right here in the US without having to leave. All right, call us for a consultation. We handle these cases pretty often. And Roma is in the specific situation where she's married to a green card holder. She entered on a tourist visa. That status expired, and she's trying to get status in the US through this green card holder spouse, right? Without having to wait for the spouse to become a citizen. The other option is to wait for your spouse to become a citizen and do it that way. But you may be able to do it sooner if you qualify. So call us. We're at 703-348-1663. Roma, thank you for all the additional info. All right, Hitesh. Hi, Hitesh. Hi, Wendy. Hi, Ravinder. Hi, Daru. All right, great. I hope I didn't miss any questions. Let me know if I did. All right, so let's see. The other question is, I have a conditional green card, right? Some people have a conditional green card. So when you are married for less than 2 years at the time that your green card is approved, what you receive is something called a conditional green card. So that means that you basically have all the benefits of a green card holder, except at the end of 2 years, you need to show USCIS that your marriage was real. It was not just for immigration purposes, right? So that's something that happens for marriage-based green cards when your marriage is less than 2 years from the time that the green card is approved. So this becomes problematic for people whose marriages kind of go south, right? So these marriages don't work out. They have problems in their marriage. So this kind of becomes problematic for people who have, issues in their marriage, or then, sometimes in certain situations, their spouse maybe tries to use it as a form of control. I'm not going to show up to the interview. I'm not going to help you remove the conditions. You're going to get deported. And even more problematic is when people have children, right? They have children with this spouse. They have kids over the 2-year span, and then they become afraid of getting deported because their spouse is threatening not to help them remove the conditions and get to that permanent 10-year green card. So that obviously is very scary. But the good news is that there's benefit for those people that are in that situation. So you can do what's called a waiver of the joint filing requirement. So you could do a waiver of the joint filing requirement. And even if you could be divorced, so let's say you're in the process of separating, and your divorce is even final within this 2-year time frame, you can pretty much do this removal of conditions, apply for that 10-year green card without your spouse. And here's the kicker. You do not even need to wait till that end of that 2-year period. Normally, normally the green card is issued, and then you can remove conditions 90 days before that 2-year period expires, right? But if at the end of 1 year, you're the subject of extreme cruelty, abuse from your spouse, it can be emotional, it can be physical. It doesn't have to be physical, but it can, if you're the victim of abuse, and your spouse is not going to cooperate, you can even do it sooner. You can do it right away. You don't have to wait those 2 years, and you would get a 10-year green card. So you don't have to go from a 2-year to a 10-year. You don't have to wait that whole 2-year span to be able to remove the condition. So if your marriage is going south, if you're having problems in your marriage, you can apply to remove the conditions on your green card completely without your spouse. So again, completely without your spouse, completely confidentially. You can either be divorced if you are already divorced, but you don't have to be. You can apply on your own based on the abuse in your marriage. You can apply for that 10-year green card at any point, right? After you have that first conditional green card. Okay, so if we can help you with it, call us for a consultation. We're at 703-348-1663. Ravinder says, my wife's brother didn't show in the paperwork. He is her brother. Is there any way we can apply for him? I'm not exactly sure your question, Ravinder. So it depends on your wife's status. So if she's a U.S. citizen, she can apply for her brother, right? There's sometimes a waiting time based on which country you are from, but you can apply for your brother if you're a U.S. citizen. So green card holders can only sponsor, I kind of go over this, and it's hard to remember, right? Because, who U.S. citizens can sponsor a certain group of people, green card holders can sponsor a certain group of people. So Ravinder says she's a U.S. citizen. So U.S. citizens can sponsor their parents. They can sponsor, their children, whether they're married, whether they're over 21, whether they're under 21. U.S. citizens can sponsor all of their children. They can sponsor their parents. They can sponsor their spouse. They can sponsor their siblings. So U.S. citizens have a lot of leeway and flexibility with who they can sponsor for a green card. Green card holders can also sponsor people, but it's not as many people as U.S. citizens. So green card holders can pretty much sponsor their spouse and their unmarried children. So that's it. They can sponsor their spouse and their unmarried children. They cannot sponsor parents. They cannot sponsor siblings. They cannot, no one can sponsor aunts and uncles or cousins. But green card holders are limited and they cannot sponsor married children. So that's something else we need to keep track of. Ravinder is saying, but it don't show he is her brother in paperwork. So if he's not her brother, then she can't sponsor him, right? So you can be a brother based on adoption. So we would need the adoption paperwork. But if he's not technically her brother, if he's just her cousin, or you can do DNA evidence, right? But if he's not technically her brother, then she can't sponsor him. Because I know some people think of their cousins as brothers or sisters. If he's not technically her brother, she won't be able to sponsor him. But let's say he is, then, you could do DNA testing and show the relationship. Okay. All right, guys, I think, that is it for me for today. It was nice to see you guys. I'm glad that you joined, and call us if we can help you with a consultation, 703-348-1663. All right. Okay. Thank you, everyone.